Ivo Hugh was the newest engine on the Skarloey Railway. After the grand naming party, he was put through his paces. Mr. Hugh and the Fin controller were very pleased with him. "You have done very well," they said, "and we shall start giving you some work soon." Ivo Hugh was very excited. The other engines seemed happy too. "How nice it is to have young engines here again," chuckled Rheneas. "I'm sure you'll settle into hard work in time," added Skarloey. The only engine who wasn't too pleased was Duncan. "Too many engines here now, and too much noise. First Duke, now the young one." None of the engines paid Duncan much mind. The next morning, the Fin controller came to give the engines their jobs. Everyone went off, except for Duncan and Ivo Hugh. The Fin controller had asked them to stay behind. "Please, sir, don't you have any work for me, sir?" asked Ivo Hugh. The Fin controller laughed. "Patience, Ivo Hugh," he said. "I wouldn't forget about you." He paused. "Today, I would like you to help Duncan with his work. He'll show you everything you need to know." Duncan was cross. "I'm not babysitting no young stupid engines," he barked. The Fin controller turned to Duncan. "You will do as you are told," he said firmly, "and without fuss. Ivo Hugh is young and impressionable, so none of your tricks." Duncan gave up his protests, but he was still annoyed. That day, Duncan had to take some men to inspect the line before the viaduct. Normally Rusty would do it, but the little diesel was away for engine repairs. Ivo Hugh was also asking lots of questions on the way up. Everything from the names of halts and stations to things even their drivers couldn't answer. Duncan was quickly losing his patience. "Why do Anna, Jane, and Mabel have no roofs?" "How should I know? They just don't." "Why does lots of rain make the ground move?" "I don't know or care." "Why don't the engines work the inclines?" Duncan seethed to himself. "One more peep out of him and I promise there'll be trouble," he hissed. "Steady now, Duncan," his driver said. "Ivo Hugh is only young." "Aye, and he'll only have no wheels if he carries on." Duncan's driver scolded him severely. Thankfully for Ivo Hugh and the men, Duncan stayed quiet. Ivo Hugh, meanwhile, was confused and sad. He didn't know if he was doing anything wrong, but Duncan wasn't being friendly like the other engines. He was rude and sharp. "Did I say something to make Duncan cross?" "No, of course not," soothed his driver. "Duncan prides himself on being plain speaking. He'll say what he likes when he likes, and a lot of the time, he just looks cross. He's nice once you get to know him." Ivo Hugh was not so sure. "I wish I could work with Skarloey or Rheneas," he puffed sadly. The top station sits on the edge of a ravine with a river rushing below. There's a short siding in front and a small loop to let engines run around their trains. The points from the siding to the loop were not always in good order. They needed to be checked to make sure all was well. Duncan and Ivo Hugh stopped their train on the platform just before the dodgy points. Happy tourists crowded around the new engine. They all wanted to take pictures of him, but were rudely interrupted by Duncan, who blew off steam and ruined their photos. "What are you playing at?" his driver shouted. "Teaching," Duncan replied. They spoke to Ivo Hugh. "That's how you get rid of passengers and get on with your work." But instead of leaving, the angry passengers crowded around him, all telling him what a rude engine he was. Some waved wet cameras at him. "Is it really?" Ivo Hugh asked. Duncan didn't say anything. He blew steam again and sulked off to where the men were working. This left Ivo Hugh alone with the passengers, who were more than happy to carry on taking their pictures. Then came bad news. "The points are jammed. We can't get them open." "You've got to be joking!" "Afraid not, Duncan. You'll have to reverse your train to the next passing loop." Duncan stopped, fought back to the ravine edge, and refused to move. Absolutely not! Ivo Hugh, however, was confused. What's wrong with reversing the train? We can see well enough behind us. It's not what we can see that's the problem. Duncan shivered and said no more. Whilst the men tried in vain to jiggle the points back, Ivo Hugh was thinking the problem through. He thought about the runaround and the working points, and then he suddenly had an idea. He explained it to his driver and without wasting another minute, started pushing his train out of the platform. What are you? Duncan was perplexed at what the new engine was doing. Ivo Hugh left his train before the points and came up beside Duncan. I'm shunting, and I need your help, please. Oh, we don't have a runaround. Ivo Hugh smiled. We don't need it, trust me. Duncan thought to himself and conceded. Alright, but I'm not taking the fall if this makes our situation worse. Ivo Hugh agreed and told him what to do. The passengers watched with amazement. And after a lot of clever shunting, the two engines were at the other end of their train, ready to set off. Duncan was impressed and quickly apologized for his rudeness. Ivo Hugh didn't feel sad now. He felt very proud of himself and was glad to have made it in Duncan's good books. The two engines returned later that evening. Much to Duncan's relief, the thing controller wasn't there. Hello, Ivo Hugh, said Skarloey warmly. I hope Duncan was good to you. At least he was good to someone, snorted Sir Handel. My passengers' complaints are still ringing in my smoke box. Ivo Hugh couldn't help but chuckle. Duncan wasn't good to me at first. He was a bit rude. Duncan felt very guilty. But he was very nice after he reached the top station. He told me all sorts of things on the way down. Did he tell you about how he stalled on the viaduct because he didn't get a polish? Ivo Hugh was curious. No, he didn't. Skarloey, no! Pleaded Duncan, but his plea fell on deaf ears, and so he sat through Skarloey telling Ivo Hugh about the event. Duncan didn't like being embarrassed, but he did like Ivo Hugh a lot more than he did that morning. But he stopped on the viaduct and refused to move.